Well, it's back in the machine shed. Yeah, it's been a long process, but it definitely came in quicker than I thought it was going to, and it runs pretty darn good. We're pretty happy with the build on the engine itself. The only thing we got left to do yet is the downpipes there. We got to get the tailpipe hooked up. That's on order yet at the local exhaust shop. Anyway, he's going to put the exhaust in. I've got the initial tune on the transmission installed, and I sent the file back to DCS. We got all the conversion parts through DCS. We're just waiting. They've got to, kind of adjust the tune a little bit and email it back to me, and then do the rest of the install on that. And she's a beast, guys. She runs hot. She's healthy. She's got all kinds of snot and snort. Obviously we can't see what we have for black smoke, really. I mean, it's got a fair amount of black smoke, but we've got to do some more tuning on the pump yet to kind of fine tune it, because it does run pretty hot on the pyro. You can see our pyro probe right down there coming out the manifold. Anyway, I've got an AFC live kit that I've had for, I don't know, 6 months. I was gonna put it on my other truck and kind of see if I liked it. I never got around to it. Been so dang busy with haying and cultivating and stuff all summer. I just didn't have time to get it installed. So anyway, I think I'm gonna pull this back in the shop, and we'll have to remove the water tank and the breather and probably injector lines to get down to the AFC, because it's clear back there. Oh, just barely see it right there. So we'll have to get it back in there and rip all that stuff off so we can put that AFC live on it. And that will allow us to adjust our fueling rate from the cab rather than having to continually climb in here and do some adjusting and finagling. And we can adjust it right from the cab that way. Now my turbo guy, I got the turbo from GT Performance Turbos in Indiana. And he custom builds turbos, and he made that guy for me. It's an S300 frame with a 6264, and basically that was the size we were going to put in there. So if we decided to down the road, this will be the small one for a compound kit. I don't remember the size he said for the combo, but anyway, this is supposed to be a good turbo for a daily driver slash, kind of a not a sled truck, but a hauling or towing truck. So it's not super big. It definitely could use more air, but this one's going to spool a little bit quicker off the bottom and get us moving. And so that's kind of where I'm at with my fueling. I need to kind of defuel her a little bit, because she seems, like I said, she's running awful hot, and I think it's just I need to back the fuel off to get more air in it. But it's hard to really say, because I haven't, without the transmission tune in there, I haven't been out really playing with it. We just drove it up and down the road for a few minutes and then recorded all that data and sent it off to them. So we really haven't got a good drive on it. Plus, we've got more freaking snow. You believe that, guys? Come on, what's the deal here? This is second week of March. Anyway. Everything's working. Like I said, I'll go ahead and open the door. There's nothing really to see inside other than my new gauges I put on the pillar. Let me pull that key out real quick. I don't want to start it and run the battery down very long. But anyway, you can see our new gauges. We've got an additional water temp on the top. I put the one on the dash works. It goes up in the very front of the head. This one up here goes to the very back of the head. I wanted to be able to measure both areas and kind of keep an idea on the back of the head, see what it's doing. Installed another trans temp gauge. The one on the dash there does work. It comes up, works nice. And when I was driving it the other day, she run up to about 140, so not really, very hot. Here's our pyro, and like I said, it was, it'll bury that sucker at 1500 degrees in a matter of nothing. This bottom one is our boost gauge. And I believe it was, let's see. While I was test driving it, it would come up to, 25, 28 pounds. The one on the dash, it also works. Everything's working. Tack and fuel gauge, oil pressure, it jumps right up. speedometer's working. The cruise even works. I had to go with the let's see, I'll show you where all that stuff is. I got it stuffed right underneath the dash. Come on, there we go. There's our cruise helper, and it's wired into the PCM of the truck, and it reads the signal off the truck, and it switches everything over so that we've got a Ford gas vehicle cruise servo mounted right up there, and then everything works off of that, and that little programmer in there tells it when and how much and when to let go and so on. You can see our DCS throttle pedal. Oh, look at that. I forgot to plug that guy back in. I don't know if that was making any difference to anything or not. Maybe. I'll plug that guy back in real quick. Anywho, so like I said, everything works. It runs good. It starts good. The grid heaters, I'll show you what that looks like. Obviously, because the Ford 6.0 had the glow plugs, it wasn't going to run the grid heater effectively. So I ran into Napa, and they said, "Oh, I've never heard of those." But I said, "I know you got one." Well, there's our grid heater coils, little relays down there, and they're just. Let me see if I can get a light on. Hold on. There we go. Now we got a light on it. The one off the parts truck, the Dodge parts truck, it was all busted and corroded, and I just wanted to put a new one in there because I know those wasn't going to work good. So these are the cables off the Dodge truck. They just run up there to the grid heater up top, and then you need a simple push button so that you don't accidentally leave it on for some goofy reason. You don't want to run a toggle switch on those. But here is our push button for the grid heater, right there. Boom, and you push it in to make contact, and obviously it's spring loaded, so it pops back out and you can't accidentally leave it on. And yesterday it was parked out by the shop before we did our transmission tune, and I just went in and held it for about 20 seconds and hit the key. Boom, started right up on the first crank. I thought, well, hey, that thing's perfect. So that works. Everything's good there. And so we drove it around a little bit yesterday. You can see we got some dust and stuff on our nice shiny valve covers. Doggone it. Oh well. Can't keep it pretty forever. Anyway, that's it, guys. It's stuffed in there. It's definitely more compact on this side than I was hoping it was going to be. In order to do an oil change, we're going to have to remove the filter first, and then the boot right there on the front of the turbo, and then this whole pipe just works nicely up out of there, and then we can reach the oil filter effectively and efficiently. Certainly can't get to the belt very easy or any of that stuff. Oh, let me just look at that real quick. We use the Dodge fan with the Ford 6.0 shroud, so we've got all kinds of room around the shroud. It's definitely way bigger than it needs to be. It'd be nice if it was smaller, but that's kind of where we're at. Can't really see the distance from fan to radiator, but it's effectively about 2 inches from the radiator. So we've definitely got room enough in there. We could have had the engine a little bit farther forward, but it works where we're at. Pause here real quick. Okay, there we go. I just want to turn the light back off. So the drive shaft, we ended up shortening 2 inches. Some of this snow knocked off here. Ended up shortening the drive shaft 2 inches was all. They said in the instruction kit could be 2 1/4 to 2 3/4. Well, when we initially set the engine in, I had slid the transmission back already in those frame holes. Maybe we can see those. Yeah, right there. Okay, so these 3 bolts, they were slightly further ahead. You can maybe see that one right there. So they were that much further ahead. So then we set the engine down in there, and my engine mounts that the DCS sent us didn't quite line up with the frame holes for the engine to sit in. So I ended up loosening these 2 bolts right there, and then just sliding the transmission forward just enough to get the engine down where it needs to be. So I ended up moving it backwards, what is it, like 3 inches, and then back ahead 1 inch. So we came out at 2 inches rearward shortening for the main drive shaft, and the front one we didn't even touch yet. It just expanded just a little bit, and it's fine. So there we go, guys. She stuffed in there. She looks good and it runs good. We're gonna do a little modding on her, get her to do a little less fueling right up front, kind of keep the EGTs down a little bit. And that's gonna be it for this video. Stay tuned. We've got more stuff coming up. We've got a whole bunch of hay seeding to do this spring. We're going to seed down a whole bunch of acres. Part of our rotation is to throw some alfalfa and hay and other stuff in and kind of build our soil nutrition back up and help break up that weed cycle. I spoke about that before. So that's pretty much what we're going to make. I mean, not all squares, but we're going to have a whole bunch of oats and alfalfa, a little bit of clover and some orchard grass in there, and make us a nice hay crop for at least 2 years. It'll be this year and next year, and we're gonna have a whole bunch of stuff to do. So stay tuned, guys, and until then, catch you later.